All right, got it. All right. Stephen, are you frozen?
Oh, everybody froze. They're still recording? I have no clue.
I think so. Okay, say hi, Stephen.
Hello.
We are loan officers with the mortgage firm here in Florida. And normally we talk about mortgage related things. So interest rates, loan products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all the boring stuff. However, today is going to be a little different. Joining us today is one of the top realtors in Central Florida, one of my best friends, known by her friends, family, and clients as the Queen of Sanford, Miss Tammy Agnini. Tammy, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good. It's Monday morning, ready to hustle, grind, and execute.
There you go. She can read my signs. Love it.
I like
Hold
them.
on.
I like
Hold
them.
on. Hold on.
Yeah,
Very nice.
and
I
there,
love
look at that.
Mondays.
There we go.
Stephen copied me.
I did not copy you.
Okay, so we're gonna do this little interview style, kind of pick your brain on some stuff. But we start off with a very important question. Do you believe in aliens?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's been a mixed bag, but I think we have more yeses than nos so far.
I think we have all
Yeah,
yeses.
to be honest, I've seen so much weirdness just on the planet Earth. There's no way it stops here.
Yeah, probably accurate.
Like I've never
Probably
seen
accurate.
an alien, but we are too messed up here to not have them
Yeah.
out there somewhere else.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff going on out there. Definitely.
Love it.
Yeah.
That is too great.
I had to think about it though. I don't know that I've ever been asked that.
We like it. This is a little
Mhm.
icebreaker. All right. So let's get to the real questions. All right. So now I know you and Derick work together regularly and are close friends, but I'm curious, how did you actually get started in real estate?
So I was always interested in real estate. I always followed real estate. I was always looking at houses online. I was always, interested in like any other person, the market for like the DIY shows or whatever. But I always loved houses too. I loved I will always pay close attention to houses and always, if there was an open house, I always wanted to go in and just look and it was just kind of like my thing. My interest was always directed there. And I always wanted to be in real estate, and I was afraid because there's always a lot of naysayers whenever you're going to do something like that. And I kind of listened a little too much to that, and it prevented me from getting into this business for a long time, for decades, really. Because everyone would say things like, you don't make any money the first year. You have to have another job or a person to support you, like high attrition rate, high turnover, people don't last, like that kind of stuff. That's very discouraging. Right. And so I kind of avoided it. And I was always trying to fit myself into these corporate jobs where I did pretty well, but I always felt like a square peg being fit into a round hole. So I job hopped and industry hopped a lot in my 20s and was trying to figure out where is my place. And I was in a lot of different industries like HR. I was in advertising, public relations for a long time, and marketing, and that's what my degree is in. But ultimately, I landed in healthcare benefits, and I was a account manager. So I was working with clients and managing projects, and I loved that job. And then my company got sold to Blackstone, which is like the kiss of death for any company. Yeah. It went from being like a great company that put people first to a horrible place to work. Although that said, I loved my coworkers, but what was happening systemically to our company was just awful. So it was time to go. And I got to the point where I was so miserable where I was that even if I took this risk and lost everything, it would still be worth it. So
how long ago did you jump ship from the corporate
5
world?
years. 5 years. Yep. Actually, August will be 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was just, and it wasn't like that big of a risk to me because at that point in my life, I was, I was a little older. I had savings. I had, something to fall back on. I knew if I failed, I could go back to my job or go back to that industry. I had a college degree. I was a little bit more set up for success, if it failed. So
You could afford to take the risk, is what it
right.
sounds like.
Yeah, but you know what? I really could have afforded it when I was younger too, if I hadn't listened to the haters, because back then I didn't have kids, I didn't have a mortgage, I had way less to lose. I should have just jumped in. So the lesson is, don't let naysayers or haters influence your big life decisions, because the thought of me not doing this is so stupid now. This is where I was meant to be all along. It took
Well,
off.
and
I mean, it was immediate. It took off like wildfire.
negativity just spreads so much faster than like happiness and joy. So couldn't agree with that more. And that's one of the things we're dealing with right now, just in our current market. There's a lot of naysayers out there talking about like home crashes and the market crashes or anything, stuff like that. And we don't see it, but to somebody that has no idea, they go online, they look at the news, and there's all these things saying like, maybe don't buy a house.
I just read I can't say it. Numbers. There you go. Can't say
Statistic.
Yeah, shush. Don't be trying to stuff me up one, because your realtor is on today.
Well, at least I can say statistic.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. But it was showing that in 23, the amount of loans that were originated, it was like 1 point something trillion, was the same amount that was originated after the crash. So people are always like, oh, the bubble's going to happen. Well, I think if it was a bubble, already kind of popped, because we're showing that we're already recovered. We're in that market of what after the bubble happened. We're still seeing home prices increase. So I think the consumer is already past that part of, hey, I'm going to have to start. I've seen a lot of people realize like, hey, rates aren't going anywhere anytime soon, but home prices keep going up. So I got to jump off the fence to get in there.
And with the rate thing too, and we've got a realtor on, but I do want to say this: rates lately over the last couple months have been more stable. Mm-hmm. So it's been so much easier, like, to judge what your payment would be in this price range for this type of house. So a lot of our home buyers that are going under contract are getting the same rate and payment that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. There might be a small adjustment, maybe an eighth or whatever, but nothing crucial. Like where the end of last year, you might be looking at 7, and then next thing you know is 7.5 by the time you went under contract, and it's just brutal. But
yeah, I agree with that. I also want to note that I've been hearing people say that there's a bubble and the market's going to crash. I've been hearing people say that for 5 years. The 5 years I've been in the industry, they're always, it's like, they're just like, almost like they want it. I'm like, what? Why would you want this? I think the media plays a really big part, and it's very damaging to our industry and to other industries too. The media just, it's out there to scare people. I can always tell the people that just sit in front of the news all day and it's doom and gloom. And I don't know, I guess the media, just what they get out of it is selling more ads or whatever, clickbait. But 100%. I'll click on some of this stuff because I'm like, what is this? And I read it and it's literally nothing. It's fluff. It's just fluff.
Yeah, right.
It's damaging. Headlines damage. So
yeah, exactly.
Drama sells.
Right.
That's it. All right, Tammy, so that was a little backstory, whatever. And now that you're in the career that you love so much, what do you love best? Or what is your favorite part of being a real estate agent?
Gosh, okay. So I love the freedom that I have. I love that I can get up and just do what I want every day, although it's usually not doing things I want to do, but I have a lot of control over my life.
Right. You don't necessarily have to drive to an office and clock in.
Right. So I don't have anybody micromanaging me. I am in charge of myself, and that's a double-edged sword because luckily I'm a self-starter, self-driven, person who's going to get the work done. But there's people out there that can't do that. They have to be, they've got to go into an office, they've got to punch a time clock, they've got to be given a workload and deadlines and all that. So I've learned how to manage all of that in my life. That's one of the things I learned the most from my previous job where I was like project managing and things. So, but I don't have anybody, standing over me, micromanaging, or just like if I fail, that's on me. If I succeed, that's on me. So right. I love that part. And my income is unlimited. I haven't figured out yet how to like turn off or turn down or adjust the workflow. That's something I've struggled with, like, because business is like, it's like a hose, just like drinking out of the fire hose. I'm not saying it's like that whether you're closing or not, the work is the same. The
Right.
workload is the same. So
No,
yeah, I
I
like the
get it.
freedom. I have 2 little kids. I can go do whatever the hell I want.
I love it. Yeah, we're in a similar boat as far as being loan originators. We kind of wake up every single morning self-employed, so you do as well.
Yeah.
And we get paid on, the amount of loans we close. You get paid on the amount of houses you sell or help buy. But yeah, it can be scary,
Well,
but
we eat what we kill. It's scary and it's exhilarating.
right,
You wake up every day and you're like, I'm only as good as my last closing. I'm only as good as, I've got X amount of dollars in my bank account. Like how, what's been cool is watching the creation of, Tammy became a realtor, but then now I have a company. It's an S corporation. It pays me. And it's
right,
like, I'm running a business and I'm learning, I've gotten to learn like the full circle, not just, I work for Century 21, my brokerage, but it's like I am my own company. And it's
right,
just, there's so many aspects I've had to learn. It's not just about closing or writing contracts. I'm doing my, having to find a CPA, do taxes, like, profit and loss, net sheet, budgets. It's a lot. It's more than just selling houses.
right. 100%.
And
Yeah.
I think that's what a
And
lot of people don't realize is like, okay, I got my license, I can just go sell something. But all the details that are in there with everything else that's out there, that's the running your own. They don't realize you are your own business.
exactly.
Everybody just
Yeah.
thinks that the broker is going to do everything for them. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works.
Broker does nothing. Well, it's like when you get out of unless you get into a sticky spot, then you got your broker. But people get out of real estate school and they pass that test and like that doesn't teach you anything. How many square feet is in an acre?
Yeah, that's it.
The same thing with our test. Like you take, it's how to stay out of jail.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. Talking about all the laws and ethics and this and that, it does nothing as far as like how to originate a loan, how to, qualify someone's income and, what you need for
How to
conventional
meet
loans,
buyers.
FHA loans, and yeah.
Yeah. How to run your business, how to,
Yeah.
you don't,
How to actually sell. How to
yeah, and
actually sell.
experience teaches that. But
Yeah.
another thing that's frustrating is dealing with new people in the industry or people who got in because they thought it was going to be easy, quick money. There's nothing easy or quick about it. And then having to like teach other agents, or if you have an agent on the other side of the deal that isn't experienced,
Yeah.
it makes it rough.
So let me ask you this, Tammy, because you kind of brought it up. There's a lot of newer agents or just agents that maybe don't kind of get it. What's one thing that you do as a realtor that other realtors aren't doing and maybe they're missing out on? Or like if there's a piece of advice, something that you've done that's helped your business, like what would you suggest? Or what makes you different?
What makes me different? Oh my gosh.
Or is what's one thing that you're doing
Yeah.
that you don't think new realtors are doing that they should be doing? Or even seasoned realtors. Just one thing that you're like, this is.
I mean, I know one
I
thing.
lock the door behind me. I don't leave houses unlocked.
Hey.
So one thing that makes me different is just that I think you got people who get into this and they just treat it like a job. For me, it's part of my life. It's a lifestyle. So I'm working around the clock. If I'm awake, I'm on. I'm working. I'm responding to text messages. I'm answering my phone. Answer your phone and respond to people. Those are the two biggest things. Like a lot of people get into this and they're like, oh, I can just do what I want now. And I said I like my job because I do what I want, but I only do what I want because I did all the stuff I had to do first. So I make
Right.
sure that stuff gets done. And that's, this isn't around the clock business. If you're not treating it that way, if it's not integrated into your whole life, then it's not going to work. And that was what really makes it hard. It's a hard job. And a lot of people just don't get that. So I pour everything I have into my people. I care about and I think a lot of other good agents do, but I really care about my people. That's the difference. I care about these people. I wake up in the middle of the night worrying about them. I try to guide them to good decisions and just, one thing that's probably that it stands out for me as far as within the Sanford market is just, I know this market so intimately. So that gives me an edge. Another thing that I do that a lot of people don't do are the open houses. Like that's
I was
something that
just
I
about to
always,
say, You
Yeah.
invest in yourself and your business,
I invest a
like
lot of
big
money
time.
back into my business.
But Stephen, you wouldn't know this, but I've done open houses with Tammy. And especially if I will say that it kind of depends on the house that she's doing it at. But
Mhm.
I've been to an open house where she had 100 people there. And I have not seen that with that many other real estate agents. And it was like
They're
an open
parties.
house party. There was a petting zoo, live music. And I mean,
Ice cream
anybody
truck.
that came through was just like, oh my goodness. But that also created a demand for Tammy. Because anybody that came by was just like, okay, if we sell our house down the street, we need this.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just
Yeah,
genius in
yeah,
my
yeah.
mind.
And that's something that I picked up from, I always did open houses and I always enjoyed doing them. But when I joined the brokerage I'm with now, I learned a lot from what they're doing because it's so much fun working there. The group, it's like very female energy, very high energy. I'm with the Kristen Greenblatt group at Century 21 Integra. Our office is in Lake Mary. But they just being there, it's like the energy, my energy leveled up, and just finding the joy and the energy of bringing that experience to every transaction, and just like the positivity, the fun. That's what I'm trying to bring. So an open house doesn't have to be boring. You want, and it depends on the house, like Derick said. So like the one that we did together recently, we did two of these together. They were for big houses in downtown Sanford, but these houses had a lot of land. So they were on big lots, like half acre.
Right.
So hence the petting zoo. These were homes that would be perfect for a large family. They were big houses. They had a lot of things going on. And it was like, okay, well, how can we set the scene for the buyer? Who's the buyer? Buyer's a family. How can we set a scene? Live music. So I have a guy playing guitar outside, and that might just be a historic home with a beautiful front porch. I might just do music. That's just extra to set a
Right.
scene. You got a guy playing guitar on the front porch. Imagine the porch parties you're gonna have. Imagine entertaining in this home. But the petting zoo that showed, little it's gonna attract families, little kids, come pet the animals. And then I'm also giving back because I'm giving someone an experience that they can, have. So I'm like, you came to my open house. Thank you for that. Let me give you something. Maybe it's just
Right.
a free ice cream for the kids in the neighborhood, but that stuff costs money, and I invest that back into my business, into myself. I see a lot of agents that just don't want to invest in their business.
Well, they look at it as an expense, not an investment.
Exactly. And this is
That's the huge
also
problem.
right. And it's an investment in my sellers too. It's like, my sellers see that and they appreciate it. They see that I'm going the extra mile for them. They see that I'm spending the extra dollars for them. My photography, it's not cheap, but it's really good. I do videography, I do reels, I do all that stuff. Stuff is not cheap, but I see other people's stuff, and it's like, I feel like when you spend that extra money and you just put a little bit more of thought into how can we do this into a more bespoke way, it gives you that edge. So, I feel like I want to be Target and everyone else is Walmart.
Right.
With me, you're getting
Or you
Publix.
want to be Publix.
You're not getting Walmart groceries. You're getting the Publix experience. You're getting offered to go out to your car. Not, and I'm not going to charge you, that
Right.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Publix. Tammy and I are both Publix
Publix alumni.
Publix alumni. There you go.
Publix.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
And
Years ago.
that's another thing though. Don't you feel like you learned a lot of customer service
100%.
things that drilled into your head from Publix? I did.
100%.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just, and like, because I work in produce. So when somebody comes like, where's the ketchup? Oh, let me take you to it.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I think it's aisle 17.
Aisle 7.
Yeah. No, you take them to it. Is there anything else I can help you find? No. Hope you have a wonderful day. You greet everybody like there's the 10-foot rule. If somebody's within 10 feet, you say hi. I mean, it's just stuff like that it instilled like customer service in me.
The Realtor 10-foot rule is, hey, do you want to buy a house?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but also there's another thing too. Like Tammy's not afraid to talk to people and ask.
Did Derick tell you his story, how he became a loan officer? He talked to too many people and they're like, you can't be in corporate office. Get out of here.
When I was I was already hired by the mortgage firm and I got kicked out of our corporate office because I talked to too many people.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that would be me. I was always a talker. I have that outgoing personality. I think, sometimes people ask me, since I've gotten into real estate, I've done a lot of, in the last couple of years for a variety of reasons, I've done a lot of like soul searching and like learning about myself and really looking within. And, one of the things that I have going for me that some other people just don't have, and this would give me success in life, and same with you guys too. You have this also, is the charisma. You have a charismatic, good personality. You don't realize that until you get out and you're working with the general public. There's so many people out there that are just literally lumps on a log. They don't have anything to offer. They don't want to talk. They're boring. And I'm like, you go sit in your desk and count widgets, because the rest of us are out here, but if you don't
Right.
have that personality, and I see people, sometimes I meet people that are new in real estate and I'm like, you ain't going to make it because your personality isn't good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sales. You've got to be able to talk to people.
Or you're scared to pick up the phone.
That is so
Yeah.
true. I was at an open house over the weekend and I was talking to the realtor. We were talking about a couple of people and she was like, so how do you know who to talk to? You don't know like their numbers. Like as a loan officer, like you don't want to talk to somebody forever that's, done one deal in the last 4 years. And I'm like, well, you could easily just start talking to them and their personality comes out and you're like, yeah, you're going to make it. Or
Yeah.
you talk to them, you're like, you might need to find another job. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And you know what? Finding a really good mentor is important too. I think about mentorship a lot. I wish that I had had a mentor when I was younger. I always gravitated toward adults too. So I would always I'd go to my friend's house and I'd end up hanging out with the parents. But I feel like if I had a mentor who saw this in me younger and really nurtured that in me, I could have probably skipped 2 decades of just being lost and trying to find my way. But
Right.
I have a mentor now, which is Debbie Metzger, and she's, she calls herself the executive secretary of our office, but she's like the mom, the coach,
Yeah.
she's a badass. And having her, my business was already doing well, but I've leveled up so much because I have an accountability person. I have, somebody to cheerlead me. I have somebody that I can call and literally cry and sob to her. And she's like, okay, now pick your bitch ass up and get off the floor and go work. So
Technical
it's
term. That's an industry term right there.
that's an industry term, because it's a hard business, and there's gonna be times when you just feel rotten about yourself. And I'm hard on myself too, which I think is another personality trait that is common in this business, is we
Right.
hold ourselves to a really high standard. I'm really hard on myself. And I can't stand to let anybody down. So I really internalize things. I'm working on that. Cause sometimes I'm like, they're mad at me, and they're not, they didn't even notice. But I'm like,
How can somebody be mad at you? Come on.
yeah, but I just in my mind, so it's just you got to be careful of that.
I like how you brought up coaching, because Derek and I are both in coaching and coach and accountability. I think I got into coaching 3-4 years ago now, roughly. And that's what made my business completely change. Just having somebody mentoring me, telling me things to do or try to work on, telling me to turn in my homework of hey, who did you call? Who did you talk to? All of those things were huge in my business, that if I didn't have that, I don't know where I would be. I think I would probably be slumming it somewhere, as it feels
Well,
like.
you'd probably be doing okay.
Yeah.
You'd be doing fine. You'd be doing good, but would you be great?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I feel I wouldn't be as where I think I could.
We wouldn't have a podcast.
That's
we wouldn't.
Sure.
We would just be probably doing a couple loans a month, maybe, or less. I don't know, paying the bills, but not.
My mentor, joining the group that I'm with now and having a mentor, I saw a $5 million increase in my business in 1 year.
Ooh.
So, I mean, that's significant. I was at $12 million a year, and then last year I did 17 million. And this year I'm on track to do 17 million. I want to do more, but I'm about halfway to where I was last year. So I'm on track to do what I did last year, but it's I want to beat it every year.
I also think that could jump up with a little bit of a change in the market.
Yeah.
Interest rates come down or something like that. I think that's the only thing that's going to happen is interest rates come down. I don't see but home prices aren't coming down. You're an agent. I mean, you've got listings right now. Would you say that are you seeing price drops on everything, or only on the ones where the seller wants more money than they should?
I'm seeing where the seller wants more money than they should, or okay, so I have all these listings right now, and some of them are just a combination of trying to get more than maybe the market would allow because the seller has circumstances that I'm trying to help them meet. Or I have some listings that are they're just not in the box. They're out of the box type of homes.
Right.
There's something a little unusual about them that is going to require waiting a little longer to find that perfect buyer. And we seem to
Right.
attract those. But yeah, I think that what I'm seeing in the market is a lot of sellers have wanted to get what they could have gotten 2 years ago.
Right.
And a lot of times those people have been talking about selling for 2 years, and maybe they've been talking to me about selling for 2 years. And 2 years ago, I told them your house is worth X, you're got lots of equity, you're doing great. Well, that's not really the story's the same 2 years later. Your house is still worth a lot. You still have equity. You're not going to get what you would have gotten 2 years ago.
Right.
Market has changed, and that's normal and healthy and to be expected. But also, if you've lived in your house a year, you're not going to make $100,000 when you sell.
Right.
Maybe 2 years ago, there were people that got lucky, but it's like, you're still going to make good money. You're still going to have a good return on your investment. It's just not going to be this, just because your neighbor got X doesn't mean you're going to get X. It's just every situation is different. But the way the market is right now, I mean, I'm using just like hyper local, I'm like monitoring the market every day. I'm taking a look at what went pending this week, what's got to sell before my listing can sell. Because sometimes there's something in the way that maybe it's the same house, but that one has a pool, that
Right.
kind of stuff. So it's like,
Gotcha.
you got to really micromanage your market. You got to know your market intimately.
Well, I want to ask you this question because you kind of how much knowledge you have on everything, but what quality should someone look for when choosing an agent? What should they be looking for?
They should be looking for someone that is their market expert where they live. So, we talk about, so I consider myself a Central Florida expert. I grew up in Central Florida. I've been here my whole life. I know, a lot about the area. I know a lot about the different cities and towns and counties, but I'm not going to go try to sell property in Tampa. That would be doing a disservice to the buyer because I don't know that market or that area. So I'm going to refer them to someone that's an expert in that area. But when it comes down to, and when everyone says you're the Sanford queen, this and that, yes, because I live on the same street I grew up on. I know this. I know Sanford. I love Sanford, but I mean, I also love to sell in Lake Mary, Longwood, Altamont, Orlando, wherever, but I think I got branded like a Sanford Realtor because this is my home and I love it. And also we have really unique housing stock here that happens to be my jam, which is historic homes. So, but you don't want to, and I see this too, people hire a random or a family member to sell their historic home in the historic district of Sanford, and it doesn't go well for them. You got to hire
Right.
someone that knows what they're doing in that niche.
Yeah.
In
Hire
downtown,
somebody that
yeah,
currently owns a historic home in the historic district that's on the preservation board, like that knows
chairman.
all the ins and outs of buying and selling historic homes. Because some of those homes are incredible. Some of them are well maintained,
Yeah.
and in decent shape. Others, maybe not.
Well, and that's where I
So
bring the value because I know these homes. So don't bring in so and so from Lake Mary that doesn't know anything about historic homes because they're going to blow the deal. They don't
right,
know about how to navigate, if you're representing a buyer for a historic home, forget it. I mean, you want to work with someone that knows because I know what to look for. I also know what sounds scary on an inspection report that's really not a big deal. So it's like you need to be able to, I'm not going to show a historic home just, if I'm showing it, I'm there to like answer the questions or anticipate their questions on the front end so they don't get scared and run away, because it's really not that scary once you know what you're doing. It's just you need to be armed with the facts so that you can make a good decision. But yeah, you need to be hiring that local market expert to buy or sell your home, help you buy a home in that area or help you sell. So that's the biggest thing.
love it. That's awesome. Okay, other than one mistake being picking the wrong agent, what are some other common mistakes you've seen home buyers and sellers make? And what's something you think people need to avoid?
I would say it would just depend on the specific situation. So like for buyers, you definitely need to be getting all of your inspections. So I think buyers are pretty savvy with that. But they need to pick, be careful who you pick. So, you don't want to pick somebody, you want to pick somebody that's like recommended, like anything else, right? You don't want to just
Right.
call up some local inspection company that maybe has franchises and, you know, they don't, again, you want to hire the right inspector for the right property. If you're buying a house with a pool, you need a separate pool inspection. This costs money. I don't care, spend it. Because you don't want to get into a house and find out your pool's leaking. Because a regular inspector, they might have checked it, but like you really, it's like you need to do a deep dive. If you're buying a historic home, you need a separate termite inspection. You know, it's all those things. You need to have everything buttoned up. So definitely inspections and, you know, making sure that you're knowing what, you know, what best price to offer, you know, depending on, has the house been listed for a while? Are you asking for concessions? You know, all those things. So
Right.
I see a lot of, I think that it goes back to working with the right agent too. I see a lot of folks who are just working with people who are new or don't know the area. And then they, you know, people who are inexperienced, people who are working with family members just because that's their family member. I've had one this year where I've repeatedly worked with the same person that uses their uncle. That guy knows what he's doing. He's great. Then I had one this year where, you know, they're using another family member and that person didn't know what they were doing and just blew up the deal and they lost their escrow and it was a mess.
Right.
Just because the agent didn't know what he was doing, it kind of that they lost a good house. So
Oh, geez.
I will
Yeah.
say when I was talking with a customer the other day, they had another inspector come out because they looked online, found an inspection company, asked them they were available. The inspector was available tomorrow. And I just said, like, I think that that's a bad sign. If somebody's not busy, you need to ask why. Like, why are they not busy? Whereas like the good inspectors that I know are booked like a week out. And then for Tammy, they might move things around to get something done sooner, but you know,
my
it's
inspector goes out the next day for me.
for you. But I guarantee
But-
he's adjusting his schedule.
Yes, he is. And but you know what, and that's the other thing is like when you're working with good professionals like me or like other agents who've been in the business a long time, they're going to have people they can trust. So you want to use, you know, being careful, of course. Like I have people that I know, like, and trust that I recommend. Derek Brown is my lending partner. I would recommend I have an inspector that I recommend because here's why I like him, because he knows what he's doing and he knows historic homes and he doesn't scare the buyer. But by the same token, he also isn't afraid to walk right out of a house in 5 minutes and say, don't buy this house. It's a pile of shit. No charge. He's from New Hampshire, but like, you know, he's honest with me and my buyers, and that's what we want. So, you know, you can typically trust the people that your agent has if you have a good agent who can be trusted. But you also need to be careful that you're not getting your agent isn't like pushing somebody, because it is legal to get kickbacks, you know, in this business as long as you disclose them. I don't do that. I don't take any referral fees from any vendors, period, whether I disclose it or not, but you know, you could. So you just want to make sure that you're, at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're working with people who have your best interests at heart, not theirs.
Giver's gain. Always think that.
Exactly.
What's one resource? I know we probably maybe touched on it a little bit, but what's one resource you're like, man, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I am at today?
Debbie, my mentor.
I figured that's what I was gonna. I
Accountability.
still had to ask it, but I was like, she kind of hit on this. I think this is exactly where she's gonna answer it.
Yeah. And my kids, because having kids drove me to, like, before I had kids, I was very kind of like floating, not sure what I want to do with my life. And then after I had my first daughter, like I woke up and was like, yeah, I got to get your life together. So, and they're kind of like my motivators. They definitely are my financial motivators.
Not endorsing you to have a kid to make your business better, but
yeah.
You know how much money I would have if I didn't have kids?
Oh my God.
that's the other.
I'll say this as far as a resource too, like we said mentor, accountability. But Tammy, like, I try not to bring too much of my work home because I don't want to say the same thing over and over again to my wife and have her like be annoyed or whatever. So there's times where I'll call Tammy to like bitch about something. And then she's like, yeah, I totally get it. We go back and forth. And then afterwards we're like, man, all right, feel better. I feel so much better. Like, okay, thank you for being like my partner that I could just reach out to.
And your work wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's been huge for me, so that then I'm not bringing it home.
Well, yeah. And like, also, like, I want to tell this quick story about how why I have Derick. So this is why you got to work with people that you trust and that have your back. So I had this buyer, I sent them to Derick. I'm like, they want to make an offer. They need to get pre-qualified. Then I went out to dinner. I walk in and see some of my friends out to dinner, and I see Tony, Derick's wife, sitting at the table. And I'm like, where's Derick? Well, he's on the phone outside with your buyer. He interrupted his dinner. He's outside talking, trying to help my buyer get pre-qualified. Tony's sitting there. My partner is sitting there waiting for me. And we're like trying to work. We're out to dinner. I sent Tony a glass of wine. I'm like, thank you for letting your husband go outside and talk to my buyer.
It was a quick phone call, and you texted me up front saying like this person might call, and I wasn't sure when. Sure enough, that person started to call, and then Tony just like looked at me like, just make it quick,
Yeah. Like, I know that you're gonna make it happen no matter what's going on.
Right. Yeah,
That's great.
That's the nature of our business. It's not fun to have to leave your table out to dinner and go take a call.
Well, and we've gotten better about it, and it's not every single dinner, but there's
and
certain
boundaries
times
are
where,
important too.
right.
I struggle with that big time. And part of the reason I'm so successful is because I've had no personal boundaries for 5 years, and I've given everything I have to my customers and to my business. And it has taken, it's a lot of sacrifice, and it has taken a personal toll on me for sure. I'm trying to get better about,
Setting
just
those
personal
boundaries.
boundaries, and just putting some safeguards in place in my life that I don't go off the rails, because burnout is a real struggle for myself and for other agents who are operating at
Right.
this level, and for you guys too, I'm sure. Burnout is real, and I've known people who are mostly women, because we have, as women, no disrespect to men, y'all work hard too, but we have our jobs, and then we have our kids, and then we have a lot of invisible work that goes unseen. It's like the scheduling of the doctor's appointments. It's like inside a mother's brain. When was the last time my kid got their teeth cleaned? Where are we at with, are they eating enough vegetables? It's like, we got to plan the birthday party and schedule all that. It's like all these little things that women have on their plates also. So it's like women are getting burned out big time. I have a friend who's a high level mutual customer of Derick and myself, and she's so burnt out, she quit her job for the summer. She's done. She tried taking 5 weeks off. It wasn't enough. She's like catatonic. Wow. And now she's trying to heal from burnout. So we got to be careful we don't, go too far.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say anything on this because I know it's very true.
Yeah.
I'll be the
Yeah,
first.
but I mean, it's biology.
Well, and I was talking to Stephen beforehand too, because Tony just went on a girls' cruise. So he's like, "Are you glad like that your wife is back?" And I'm like, "Dude, I couldn't be happier to have my partner back. Are you kidding me? Like, I kept the kids alive, and I'm proud of that, which is ridiculous." Like,
no, so because you're a good dad. You're a good dad. And that's like a tired old trope too, about the bumbling dad that doesn't know what he's doing. That's not really true of most good dads.
No,
like,
but there is,
like,
we know, most of us know what we're doing. It's how you said, the invisible acts or whatever. Like,
yeah, right.
You just went all
like
through
Tony
that.
will
like,
think that
my wife does that. My wife does that. My wife
it's
does
a lot
that.
It is a lot of it is biological. And if we ask for help from our partners or the dads, y'all will help. But it's like, you don't know what to do until you're told to do it. It's just not the way y'all are wired to think. So women, we need to get better about telling our spouses or our partners or baby daddies, this is what I need. And I do have a partner. My children's father is amazing, and he helps me in my business, but he also is an amazing dad, and thank God for that, because it's, if you don't have anyone to share that with, and so many women don't, or they just don't speak up.
Well, and I think it could be more true, because like Tony will think about what Audrey's going to wear next Wednesday and make sure that it's washed.
Yeah.
And I will think about it Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to fix that.
That's why there is a quick wash on the washing machine and a quick dry. That's the dad button.
Yeah, right. It's the dad
You'll
button.
get it done, and you guys are great dads too. And that's, a lot of men are great dads and get a lot. And you don't get enough credit for that too.
I think there was a post the other day I saw, and it's like a husband standing there like kind of staring off, and a wife like looking mad behind him, and it's like, do I ask her what we're doing this weekend, or do I just guess because she's already told me 20 times?
I got one from Jeb last night where he sends me this TikTok, and it was like, the guy was like, women, listen, like he was going to tell us something. And then it cuts to these other dudes that are like, you guys podcasters, and they're laughing so hard. They're like, women don't do that. And they're just laughing hysterically. And I'm like, that's the TikTok.
It's
Anyway.
true though.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, we all got to be better listeners. That's for sure.
But Tammy, I want to thank you for coming on. I know Derick probably has some more to say, but I want to ask you before we kind of close this out, what's your final piece of advice to home buyers, realtors, whoever you want to give it to? What's your final piece of advice out there?
Okay, this is a big one. You need to be buying property. You need to be buying a house now. If you are on the fence about buying, you need to call one of you guys and you need to get pre-qualified, and you need to, if you're not sure if you can, and you think you have bad credit, or you're not sure if you make enough money, you need to be calling a loan officer. You need to be getting advice. You need to be getting a clear path to homeownership. Homeownership is out there for everyone who wants it, but prices are going up. And what I'm seeing out there, it really makes me worried about young people today, or folks who maybe didn't buy a house or didn't buy a condo or a townhouse or any kind of property. I'm worried they're going to miss out. Homeownership and being a property owner is the best and most stable path to stability. It's wealth, it's generational wealth, and rent is going up and it's going to become unsustainable. Home prices are just going up. So I talk to people and I'm like, well, I got some things I need to work on with my credit. Okay, well, are you working on it, or are you worrying about it? Because the best thing is, like, face whatever it is that's blocking you from being able to do this. Just call up somebody, like one of you guys. I always tell people, I'm like, you need to be calling Derick Brown. Derick will look at your credit, will tell you, here's what's blocking you from homeownership. Let's get that taken care of. A lot of people are so stressed about or they feel a lot of shame around, maybe they made mistakes in the past and their credit is not good now. That's okay. You can fix that, but you have to be willing to face it. So call up a good qualified loan officer, get a path, get a plan, do the things, and buy a house, because if you don't, you're going to miss out, and you're not going to be able to. I mean, homeownership is huge. It's like, it's the biggest thing that I can think of that like makes your life better and makes your kids like you're stable, you're in a home, right, and you're locked in, you're not at the mercy of landlords and your rent going up and up and up, putting you into a cycle of perpetual poverty or low income living. But I think the biggest thing is people need to overcome whatever shame is behind them, put it in the past, because everybody's made mistakes. Everybody's had, credit issues or whatever. So I worry about people that aren't buying property now, that they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So, and I really think that is the American dream. I don't really like that phrase, but I feel like homeownership is for everyone.
Right.
Everyone that wants it. And some people don't want it, and that's okay too. Like, some people would prefer to rent because they don't want to have to deal with all the stressful things that homeownership is stressful too. But it's
right. But as long as you're investing elsewhere too, because I can tell you right now, I mean, the amount of money that we had in equity in our home was incredible.
Right.
And I would have not had that money had we not bought. It's not like I would have been able to save it in, a CD or a high yield savings account. It's a combination of appreciation, paying down our loan, and it created a ton of equity that we were able to use to build our dream home. So,
right. And my other piece of advice is for first-time home buyers, stop being so picky. Okay. There used to be this old show on HGTV. It was a Canadian show called Property Virgins back I used to watch it like in the 2008 era.
Right.
And these people were like super picky. They like just shit on every house they were shown, but they didn't have a big budget. And to me, okay, so I have a beautiful home in downtown Stanford. It's one of the most beautiful homes here. It was my dream home. I used to drive past this house. I love it so much. And I thought I'll never be able to afford anything like that. And my very first house, I was a property virgin. I was like, oh, this isn't good enough. This isn't good. My first house was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And I shit on it the first time I saw it because, I have to have more than 1 bathroom. Well, guess what? My budget was $120,000 in 2009. I was buying by myself. I think I made like $35,000 a year. So finally I came back to the house. I was like, this house is actually pretty cute. I can make it work. But because I
Right.
bought that house and I lived in that house for 6 years, and actually it wasn't cute, it was ugly, but we put a lot of sweat equity into making it really cute. And in 6 years I sold it and I made $58,000, which is not a big return now. Most people make 100 when they sell, but back then, 6 years. But if I hadn't have bought that house and settled and got that house at a low price, I wouldn't have had the equity that I built in 6 years to move up into my dream home. So it's like, okay, just because you can't buy the dream home now, tough shit. Okay. Yeah. Buy a house you can afford, live in it for 5 years or less or more, who knows, and get some equity and then trade up.
So if you think about a year-over-year appreciation, $150,000 house appreciating at 5% is going to increase by $7,500. So it'll be worth $157,500, right? Now, let's just say you keep on buying up and buying up and buying up. Well, what do you think an $800,000 house appreciating at 5% is? That's $40,000.
Right.
So buying that first home, the whole point of it is so that you can then buy the next home and then buy the next home. And we're not talking about like, you're going to do this every year for the next 3. No. It takes time. Real estate is the long game.
Right.
But you buy your starter home, and you make it nicer and you maintain it.
Your first home doesn't have to be your dream home. It is a starter home.
It is a starter home. And you know what else people need to do? Stop comparing yourself to the Joneses.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. And I was in that trap myself when I was younger. And I get it. And you're insecure and you see what your friends have. And you're like, oh, I'm behind, or what I have isn't good enough. You're doing just fine. Stop comparing yourself. Buy the best thing you can afford. Make it as nice as you can. Make it cute. Every house can be made cute. Be happy living there. And you know what? I look back and some of the best times of my life were when I was broke as shit, living in that little 1-bathroom house. True story. You know what? Life was simple. But you know what? I'm not suggesting that everybody wants or needs an $800,000 house eventually. I'm very happy.
Right. I'm not saying that either.
I'm going out feet first, but I mean, I've got a lot of money in it, but it's like, you just can't be afraid to just get what you can afford, and don't worry. Don't compare yourself to other people. You're not other people. Other people might have had their parents give them their down payment, or, they inherited money, or they just were born into a different situation. You just never know. Just do the best of what you have, but don't sleep on homeownership.
Right. 100%. Love it. All right, Tammy, where can people find you? Social media, what's your handles, all that stuff?
Yeah. So my best way to reach me is to text me at 407-516-5877. My Instagram handle is at Sanford Realtor. I'm on Facebook under Tammy Agnini, Realtor. Or you can find me on Facebook under just Tammy. It's Agnini. It's a weird Italian last name.
Agnini is what it looks like. It's
Agnini,
but Agnini.
You can say it however you want. But yeah, that's how you can find me. And I see a lot of people that come find me in the wild at my open houses. So if you follow me on social, you can see when I'm going to have open houses. Come by and meet me in person. Come by. I usually have something fun going on, like we talked about. It's not always the petting zoo, but it might just be like yesterday I was at
coffee truck.
I had a coffee truck Saturday, which you saw, which was awesome. And that was like a Saturday morning open house. So we had coffee vibes. It was great. Yesterday, I did an open house at a condo and on Lake Orienta. We did the ice cream truck. So folks were by the pool in the condo. Kids are just getting out of the pool, getting ice cream. It was the best. So come by and meet me in person.
Love it.
Tammy, thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Now I know when Derick calls me to complain about something, you didn't answer him. That's what happened.
Exactly. He was too burdened out to answer the phone.
All right, Tammy, I appreciate you jumping on with us. Always a pleasure. You're a rock star.
Thank you so much. You guys are too. Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Well, Stephen, you want to close us out?
Sure. So this has been another episode of the Brutally Honest Loan Officer podcast with Derick Brown and myself, Stephen with the mortgage firm, and of course, Miss Tammy leading us off with our interview today. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
See ya.